What's up guys, welcome to another video. Flip here. Element is out doing something else. He has left me alone. And so we're going to follow up on our first video, Kengan versus Baki. Thank you for all of you who had joined that first part. If you have not seen it yet, go check it out. It's a comparison between Kengan and Baki, and I make the argument why Kengan is better. In this video, I wanted to break down a fight in Kengan and in Baki and compare the two. Just break it down a little bit. Even though they are very similar in style and structure, there is a little bit of a difference. And I'm going to make the argument at the end, give you the takeaways, the key takeaways to why Kengan is just a little bit better. Just a slight tad bit better than Baki. Now don't get me wrong guys, I love both animes. Both animes are amazing, they're absurd, they're ludicrous, they're just magic. But I just wanted to see which of these fights you like better. We'll be comparing these three matches under three criteria. The first criteria is the initial attack. How does each character gauge and calculate their plan of attack against one another? The second criteria would be the counter. How do they change the momentum and shift it in their favor? And the third would be turning point. What is the final move that they use to ultimately gain victory? And at the end, I'll be giving you a key takeaway just to give you a little bit of insight on which anime is probably better or just gets the slightest edge. Let's start with Kengan. Imai Cosmo versus Adam Dudley. The initial attack. Both fighters are gauging each other and measuring. Can I just say how much I love the introductions? In the initial attack, we have both fighters measuring and calculating their plan of attack or counterattacks. Cosmo will heavily rely on his speed and his jujitsu, and while Dudley wants to use his brute strength to swing the fight in his favor. Here we see Cosmo using his speed to his advantage to throw Dudley off balance. Although it seems like he's executing the game plan to perfection, you do ask the question, is any of it actually hurting Dudley? The scissor takedown was a sight to see. Cosmo has momentum here and mounts Dudley for a ground and pound. You'd think that he has clear advantage as this is his field of expertise. Now we get to the counter. Using his inhuman strength, Dudley inflicts considerable damage on Cosmo with just a jab. Here we see the difference in size and strength. All Cosmo can really do is implement his speed to counter, but to no avail. Dudley continues to punish Cosmo with his brute strength. As Dudley continually inflicts heavy damage on Cosmo, all Cosmo can do at this point in the fight is use his speed, but he has no effect on Dudley whatsoever. So how do you neutralize a much bigger and stronger opponent? And now the turning point. Now here's where things reach Super Saiyan levels, and it's amazing how it's done. It still has a touch of reality to it, but in no way, shape, or form will it ever be attainable. But that's the magic of this anime, right? It has to transport you in a space of imagination where the impossible allows you to live in this fantasy and enjoy every breathtaking moment of it. Dudley hallucinates while Cosmo performs what's called zone. While Dudley continues to think he is winning the fight, Cosmo performs a perfect triangle choke on him to secure the victory. Now let's move on to Baki. This fight is between Kato and Dorian. Now it's an amazing fight, it has a lot of similarities with Cosmo versus Dudley. Both showcase not only the difference in size between the opponent, but also a similar ending. Of course, the main difference here is that this is a real street fight. It's not a tournament fight or a match. That's why in this episode it's called a true fight versus a match. The initial attack. Both fighters are gauging and measuring each other. Now, it's safe to say that both fighters utilize whatever means necessary to defeat their opponents. The brash and confident Kato shows up at the Tokugawa compound, where he meets Dorian, who is already in a losing situation. As I mentioned, they will both use whatever means necessary to win a fight. Kato uses his nylon strings to cut Dorian's ear off. Since we're counting this as the initial attack, we should all know at this stage in the anime, Dorian is not to be messed with. Acting is a part of his repertoire. He is not showing any visibility in this instant. Dorian then uses a grenade to escape. Now we move to the counter where the momentum shifts. Kato tracks down Dorian in his lair to finish him off, and this is where everything changes. At this moment, I was really at the edge of my seat. It almost feels like we haven't really seen anything from Kato yet. And this is where we'll see his true power. But this is Dorian we're talking about, right? Whatever dirty trick Kato has up his sleeve, it's gonna be countered by an even dirtier trick by Dorian. Glass bits from smashed bottles in his hands, he fully utilizes it to break down Kato. Kato bounces back to prove that his karate is supreme, but to no avail. Now here's the turning point. Now, similarly with Cosmo's win over Dudley, Dorian uses hypnosis. Where Kato falls under the mind control, he envisions his victory only to wake up moments before his defeat. Who wins in a fight between nylon and piano strings? Now guys, I really want to say that I love both animes. I think Kengan and Baki are just amazing animes, and we should just be enjoying them for what they are. And I will say the key takeaways to both of these matches has to go, I'd have to say it slightly goes to Kengan, because Kengan does a really good job of showing and telling at the same time. Now you get to enjoy the moves of the fights while they're explaining it, and you don't lose the momentum of the fight. Where Baki, you just kind of get a lot of exposition before you finally see something, but it's still really enjoyable. Don't get me wrong, it's still awesome to behold the powers, the powers that the fighters in Baki perform against each other. And so I just have to give the slight edge to Kengan only because it does a better job of showing and telling. And that's just really my opinion, but I'd really like to know what you think in the comment section below between these two fights, Cosmo versus Dudley and Kato versus Dorian. And once again guys, thank you for stopping by. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, leave your comments in the section below, that bell notification, smash it Kengan style, and I'll see you in the next one.